Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of On Deck with the Sports Report Girl. I'm Sheena from thesportsreportgirl.com, here to recap and poke a little fun at the week's top stories from the world of baseball. And since there was no show last week due to my producer's paranoia over the swine flu outbreak, this episode will cover stories from the past 2 weeks. Like the Manny Ramirez situation. I mean, would have been nice to report on that last week when it was actually a relevant story.
Sorry.
Yeah, I bet you are. Anyway, unless you've been living under a rock or a self-imposed quarantine like a certain someone, then you probably know all about Manny Ramirez's 50-game suspension for failing a drug test. And the best part was what they found in his system, a female fertility drug known as HCG. No, Manny wasn't secretly undergoing a sex change operation. At least, I don't believe so. He was simply returning his body to a natural level of testosterone after doing a cycle of steroids. Which makes certain actions, like throwing the traveling secretary to the ground and taking a swipe at then teammate Kevin Youkilis, all the more understandable. Manny being Manny was simply code for roid rage. Ramirez did apologize to owner Frank McCourt and, after nearly a week in hiding, addressed his fellow teammates. Of course, he waited for the Dodgers to come to him as they swung through South Florida during their recent series against the Marlins. How convenient. Prior to his suspension, the Dodgers were the best team in baseball, but since have basically played 500 ball. On or off the juice, they need Ramirez's bat back in the lineup. But considering they're in the NL West, he could miss 100 games and they would still probably be in first place. Moving on, the Diamondbacks recently became the first team to throw their skipper overboard when they fired former manager of the year, Bob Melvin, and replaced him with still wet behind the ears A.J. Hinch. Hinch, who played in the big leagues for 7 seasons and nearly as many teams, has zero managerial experience at any level. He seems like, a nice enough guy, but let's face it, this isn't the time or place for on-the-job training. Melvin's dismissal brings up the inevitable pondering over what other managers out there might be next on the hit list. Could it be Eric Wedge in Cleveland? Or how about Bud Black in San Diego? Clint Hurdle in Colorado must be feeling some heat, and due to heightened expectations in New York, there will always be questions about Joe Girardi. Speaking of the Yankees, they seem to be playing a bit better since the return of Alex Rodriguez. In fact, he hit a home run in his first at-bat of the season, and just the other night crushed a 2-run homer in the 11th against the Twins. Of course, his return couldn't have come at a better time considering the attention Manny was getting. It's as if he slipped back into the lineup while no one was looking. In a completely unrelated A-Rod story, the other day on the Dan Patrick Show, Pete Rose spoke out in support of Rodriguez, claiming he deserved to be in the Hall of Fame despite his admission to using steroids. In the same interview, the Hit King also said he felt Barry Bonds was the true home run king because no one has ever proven he took steroids. And finally, Boston Red Sox slugger David Ortiz has been benched by manager Terry Francona after struggling mightily the entire season. Without the usual pop in his bat, Big Pappi is now just big and bad. Last Friday, he went 0 for 7, stranding 12 base runners in the Bo Sox 1-run loss to the Mariners. I guess you could say Big Pappi just pulled a baba booey. Ortiz's slump dates all the way back to last August, which is when he lost the benefit of Manny Ramirez being in the lineup. Considering Manny's recent problems, it makes one wonder what else he might have lost with Ramirez's departure. Okay, guys, you've been on deck with the Sports Report Girl, but please don't forget to leave your comments. And if you like the show, be sure to subscribe and tell a friend. See you back here next week. Bye-bye.